So in this video we are going to be talking about the basic trigonometric ratios and the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, and we won't be talking about the rules like the sine rule, cosine rule. We're not going to be doing some past paper questions in this video. We'll do it in other videos. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so over here we have or let's read the question. The line AB represents the glass walkway between the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur. The walkway is 58.4 meters long and is 170 meters above the ground. The angle of elevation of the point P from A is 78.3 degrees. Calculate the height above the ground. Okay. So this is basically a model of Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur, and they want us to find the distance from here to here. If we were to mark another point, let's say X over here, so they're basically telling us to find the value of XB. Now what we do know is that XB is equal to 170 meters. This over here, let's use a different color. This over here has a value of 170 meters, but we don't know the value of PB, which is this. So in order to find that, we're going to do PB plus something, or PB plus XB will give us the value of XP. Okay, so from this we know that we have part of the answer, and we need to find the other part in order to find the final answer. So now we'll come to the topic, or we're going to talk about the trigonometric ratios. Okay, we know XB, as I said, we know XB is 170 meters. To find the height of P above the ground, above the ground, we also need to find PB. We need to find PB, which is unknown. So now we think with ourselves, or we think about it. We can use trigonometry for this situation. How? Well, we can do it. Let me just use a different color. So you can see over here that we have two values. We have the value of the angle of elevation of the point from point P to A, which is 78.3 degrees, and we also have the value of one of the sides. And remember, this is a right angle triangle, so therefore this over here is the hypotenuse. I suppose this is how we write it, hypotenuse. Okay, so now we know you guys must have a background of trigonometry. We have three kinds of functions, trigonometric ratios, sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, sine is basically opposite over hypotenuse, so I'll just write opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now the way I would say how to find the opposite and adjacent and those kind of sides is, we have a right angle triangle. Okay, and let's say we need to find the sine, cosine, and tangent of this angle over here, x. We know the hypotenuse already, and that is, since we know that this is the right angle, so therefore the angle that is opposite to it is hypotenuse. We know that. The angle which will be opposite to x, or the side which is opposite to the angle x, will be this over here, and therefore the remaining side will be adjacent. That's the best way to do it. Okay, so now using these trigonometric ratios, we'll now try solving this question over here. So we need to find PB in order to find the total height. Okay, so x, b, p. You know that x 170, we don't know PB. So PB, or this angle over here, we know an angle and we know a side, and we need to find a side. Okay, and since we're finding a side, we're going to use the format of solving for the side as this: sine of the angle, let's call it x, is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And if it's for cosine, we're going to do for adjacent, or cosine of x is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, or if it's for tangent, tan over is equal to tan. Let me just write tangent of x is equal to opposite over adjacent. Okay, now we need to know which function do we use, or which ratio do we use. Now we have the one thing, or we're going to use the normal ratios, not the inverse ratios, which is a different topic. We have the angle over here. Okay, now we don't know the hypotenuse, and we don't know the side that is opposite to it. We do know, if you think about it, this side is adjacent. Okay, this side is adjacent to angle 78.3, and it's a right angle triangle. This is opposite, this is hypotenuse, and this is adjacent. Now we need to use either sine, cosine, or tan of x. So we don't have the hypotenuse and we don't have the opposite side. Now we do have the adjacent, and we need to find the opposite side. So which function contains both opposite and adjacent? It's tangent. So therefore we're going to use tangent to solve our question. Let's use red. So we're going to use tangent because we don't have hypotenuse and we don't have the opposite side. We do have the adjacent side, and we're trying to find the opposite side. So when we're trying to find a side, and the values given are an angle and the side adjacent to it, and we have to find the opposite side, we use tangent. So I'll just do that here. We'll use the format tangent of x, which is 78.3 degrees, will be equal to opposite, which is in this case x, over adjacent, which is 58.4. Now therefore if you cross multiply, you'll get x is equal to tangent of 78.3 multiplied by 58.4. Now I would suggest you use your calculator. So tangent of 78.3 multiplied by 58.4, and when we round it, actually the answer is 282. If we round it to two decimal places, it would be 282.00, so there is no use of it. Now we have PB, x is, this value of x is PB, and we add PB to XB, which will be 170 plus 282, and therefore the height will be, the height of point P from the ground is 452 meters. Alright, so that's one question, and we'll solve another one in the next video.